Hi, I'm Brenda from the Homeschool Files, and today we're going to talk about making your own school calendar, something that, if your kids have been in public and private school, was always done for you. But now that you're a homeschooler, you get to make your own calendar. So let's talk about that. Okay, so this is kind of the part that you've not been in charge of before. The school district gets the calendar approved and they send it out to you, and that's how you know this is when our Christmas break is, this is when our spring break is, these are the teacher in service days, these are the days we have off. You have it all there for you, but now you have a little more freedom and you get to decide how long will we take off for Christmas? When will our spring break be? Are we going to take an entire week for Thanksgiving or no? And some of the frustrating things, like those little half days that they take and stuff, those can go away. You are in charge now. So, I mean, within your state laws, you have a little bit of freedom to figure out how you want to run your school calendar. This is going to be a two-part video, just letting you know. This is the first part, and I'll be linking the second part as soon as it's filmed. Just want to let you know that there's two things to think about. Today, we're going to just introduce this. First thing you have to know to make your school calendar is that you need to follow your state laws, okay? Find those on hslda.org, and that's how you go. You click on your state and you find out what your state laws are. Some states are very free and open, and it doesn't tell you how many days your school year has to be. Other states tell you that you have to have a certain number of instructional days and that you have to count them. Or maybe you have to have a certain number of instructional minutes or instructional hours. It depends on your state. So you need to know that first of all. I would hate for you to go start your school year at a very leisurely pace and be going about your business, and then later in the year finding out, oh my gosh, we're supposed to have a certain number and now we have to work 8 hours a day in order to make that. I don't want that to happen to you. So look up those laws first so that you know. I live in Texas. We don't have to count a certain number of days. So the school calendar truly is up to me. But where you live, you need to know that. Okay. So the second thing is we're going to make a school calendar. I'm going to help you do that. By the end of the second video, your school calendar will be done. But it's not going to go exactly like you plan it on paper. Someone's going to get a stomach bug, and then it's going to run through the whole family. Your air conditioner might break, and you may have to move in with your parents for a couple of days while they're fixing it. Or, like us, one year you might have a hurricane the first week of school. That was kind of a crazy time. We got off schedule right from the get-go that year. But when we make our own calendar, we're going to have some placeholders so that you can get back on track easily. Okay? All right, so here's your choices. Do you want to follow a traditional homeschool year? That's one option. You know, when we were growing up, we went to school August to May. Well, when I was younger, it was September to May. We never started before Labor Day. So September to May. If you want to do it that way, because that's what school feels like to you, then that's fine. We also follow a traditional schedule here at our homeschool. We have tried it other ways, but we have found that the outside activities, the co-ops, the classes, they kind of all follow a traditional school calendar. And so we ended up following that as well. Also, my girls' cousins were in public school and they wanted to be off of school when their cousins were so they could play in the summer and do things like that. We've just always followed a traditional schedule, although within that we have a lot of freedom. So that's one thing you can do. Another one is to follow your local school district's calendar. Even if you don't have anyone in school, you can just look at how the local school district planned out their year and you can follow them. And that's one way to do it. Very simple, very easy. You'll know when spring break is and all of that. It'll all be planned out for you. Some families might need to do this. Maybe one of your children or some of your children are in public school and others of them are homeschooled. That is a pretty common situation. So if you've got one child that's following the public school calendar, you might want your homeschool child to follow that same calendar so that as a family you have off on the same holidays. That's important. Or you might have one parent who works for the local school district. Maybe mom or dad is a teacher, and so you want to follow that same calendar so that you have the same holidays as they do. All right, another choice that you have is to not follow the local school district's calendar. Some people do this on purpose. They actually look up the local school district's calendar and they choose a different week for spring break. They choose different days for their holidays and their days off if they can. And the reason is because you want to be able to go to the zoo and the park and the pool and the museum and all these places when they are not crowded. Having the same spring break as everybody means the beach is completely crowded. You don't want that. You want to go when it's not crowded. So some people purposefully go against whatever the local school district's calendar is. That's another option. Some people choose a weather-based calendar. Now, if you live down the south like me, it's hot right now. Summer is just so hot, and there's really nothing you can do except stay in the air conditioning or go to the pool. That's your choices. It's so hot. So some families decide to get their homeschooling done in the summer. When it's so hot, there's nothing else to do. Let's stay in the air conditioning and knock out a whole bunch of our schoolwork. And then in like October or November when it's getting really nice outside, they take the whole month off, or they might take November through Christmas off and just be all done. And then they keep schooling a little bit more. And then they take off the whole month of March or April when it's beautiful outside and they can be outside enjoying the weather. When the heat starts to creep back in, they go back in and hit the books. If you live up north, it might be a snow issue. It's too cold to go do anything else. We might as well hole up here in the winter and get our schoolwork done. So you might choose a weather-based calendar. Choose to be off in long segments when it's beautiful outside. That's a great way to do it. All right, another choice you have is a work-based schedule. If you have a parent in your family who has a very unique schedule, we know a friend who is gone for weeks at a time, and then he's home for weeks at a time. And it's just off and on that way, but it's predictable. And so you might want your kids to be able to spend time with dad. So while he's gone to work for a period of time, that's when you hit the books. And when dad's home for 2 weeks, that's when you take off. And that's a way you can do it too. Firefighters sometimes do 24 on, 48 off, whatever your schedule is. If you've got a unique schedule for the parents, you might want to take off when they're off so that you can enjoy time together as a family. Not everybody works Monday through Friday and gets the weekends off. So you can adjust your school calendar accordingly. Another choice you might have is, well, just if other things are in the way. If you have particularly a lot of medical appointments or therapy appointments you have to get to, just a lot of things, you don't have to do 5 days a week of school. I don't know if anyone ever told you that, but you don't. You don't have to do school Monday through Friday from 8 to 3, okay? You can do school on a Saturday. You can do school in the evenings. You can do school whenever you want to, as long as you're following your state laws and getting in the number of instructional time that you're supposed to get in. It doesn't matter when you do it. So you might opt to have a 4-day week. Okay. We did that for a while when my girls were littler. We did a 4-day week and we left that 5th day, usually it was Friday, we called it Fun Friday. That was a day to run errands and watch a movie and just clean the house and just do whatever. I made sure there was something fun in there. I know some of those things didn't sound fun, but it was just a day off of school to get the other things done so that the 4 days that we did have, we could concentrate on school. If you have a lot of things to work around, maybe you need to consider a shorter school week. That might work for you. If you have high schoolers, it is difficult sometimes to do a 4-day week. They just kind of have a lot more school, a lot more things to do. Some high schoolers like to keep their job, a part-time job during school. And if that's the case, if you're willing to stretch your year out longer and have a longer school year than from August to May, then you could get away with having a 3-day or 4-day week and let them have a few days to work. It's just going to depend on everybody's individual schedule and what you can work out with their job. But just know that you have that flexibility and that freedom. It doesn't have to be Monday through Friday, from 8 to 3. You work those hours the way you need to. Maybe you have them do some work in the morning, then they go to work, then they come home in the evening and do some more school. You can split the day up however you need to do it. You can space everything out. So the very first thing you need to do to plan your school calendar for yourself is to figure out when you want to do this. When do we want to start? and when can we end? So that's going to take a little bit of math on your part, and we'll figure out holidays and everything in just a minute. But just know, I want you to figure out, when do we want to start? For us this year, every year's a little different. For us this year, we have family coming in for to stay with us, and so they're not going to be gone until a little bit later in August. And there's no point in trying to start school while they're here. So we're going to have a little bit of a later start, and that's fine. So I know about what date I'm going to start. It's going to be about the third or fourth week of August. It'll be later in August. So I know when my start is, and then I'll count my days so that I know I can get. Your curriculum can help you with this too. 32, 36 weeks, whatever, you can kind of count ahead. We'll talk about that a little more in the next video. Figure out when you want to start and what your state laws say that you have to do. Come back for part 2, and we'll help you figure out the rest of your calendar.